Today we're going to talk about how to make money without working harder. And listen, don't get too excited about not working and making money. It really comes down to understanding how things work in business and how things work in your mindset, abundant versus scarce, and how you can level up and accelerate your growth. And when people talk about making money without working harder, what they're really saying, at least from my experience, and if I have other experiences in the future, I'll share it with you, is surround yourself with people that are going to make you level up, where you become the student, not the teacher. Because once you're living in Studentville and you stay in Studentville and you continue to play in the space of Studentville, what happens is if the teachers are proven winners and you trust exactly what they bring to the table, well, then you're going to be able to accelerate pretty fast. So I'm with my partner today, my man Eddie Gardner. What's up,
How's it going, Rob?
How you doing, brother?
Good, man.
Me and Eddie did not go to the same store. We did not buy the same shirts. I promise you. They're a little bit, he's black on blue, black and blue brothers.
That's it.
And, mine are white. My buttons and his are a little bit gray. But anyway, the shirts look really good and they look the same. So, Ed, let me turn it over to you, pal. Tell me what's going on.
So, we're talking about how to make money without working harder, which it seems like, is that really something that can be done? Because a lot of people obviously think about like, hey, I want to make money without working, passive income.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot to get to that passive income. So if we're speaking to the business owner or somebody that's looking to become a business owner, how does being a business owner allow you to first invest in yourself?
It's funny. So as a business owner, you have business owners that are the business, right? And the business either works or doesn't work, whether they show up or not. That's the solo. That's when someone's in the business instead of being on the business, right? So I know what that feels like. I've seen that. I've been there. And at the end of the day, that's the business or that's the person or persons that work really, really hard, but their growth goes really, really slow. And sometimes it's capped, right? Because what they're not doing, typically, I'm speaking in general terms,
right?
What they're not doing is they're not replacing themselves. And what's the best way to replace yourself? We had a conversation with David today, and he said he's looking for the 25th hour.
Yes.
And we said, well, wait, how do you maybe get to the 16th hour? By teaching 3 people exactly what and how you do that are part of your team. And that's how you start replacing yourself.
Right.
So the business owner that learns to replace himself is now working on the business.
Yeah.
And if that same business owner is on the business, and now when he's home, the business is producing enough just to cover the expenses, let's say.
Yeah.
Now there's elevation, right? Now he could, quote unquote, as Garrett Gunderson says, if your expenses are covered, what'll happen is you can now take on these shots and these other type of investment strategies. So the question is, how do you start your own business? And then how do you become successful in the business?
Yeah.
And then how do you then be able to replace yourself so you can multiply, your time? And then last but not least, how do you make more money without working hard?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you got to do all that first.
You do.
Unless you're a lot or daddy gives you the business.
It's investing in yourself and growing that business. And I think all too often, to your original point in there, is people start a business, but they really buy themselves a job because they don't know how to be a business owner. And it's that investing in yourself, getting around the right people and leveling up that then allows you to become that business owner.
Yep.
Some of the fear and some of the things that people deal with, like David, right? You don't necessarily want to let go of control. Do you feel any of those things come from maybe a scarcity mindset?
Yeah, so I think that when you have the folks that don't want to let control over the business, they either in the past did let go and they were burnt. So they're living in that nervous system engagement, a lot of cortisol traveling through their body at that point, and they're not letting it go.
Yeah.
And or to your point, they are just in a scarcity mindset and they've never been able to escape that. So a lot of times the person that comes up in a scarcity mindset that somehow breaks through and starts achieving financial success, there's a level of guilt. Do I deserve it? Should I really be making this kind of money?
Wow.
And then they start taking care of family and friends so they get approval, but in that space, they begin to get resented or resentful.
Yeah.
So then the self-sabotage begins where they stop making meetings, they create chaotic situations, just to solve it, just to get back to a place of emotional and financial break even.
Yeah.
But really what they're doing is living in addictive chaos. right? This is real. Like
Yeah.
this happens at levels of 1 million, 5 million, 20 million, 100 million. And if you're not breaking through whatever category I just mentioned, it's
Yeah.
because you're exercising a level of control and dysfunction within your organization that's not allowing you to take that next step because you're not surrounding yourself with the next 5.
Yeah.
We'll always call it the next 5. That's going to be the title of my book. Who's the next 5? Who's your next 5? That's the title of the book. Who's your next 5? Wow. Think about it. Every time you elevate is because you have 5 people. Now, if you want to take that next elevation, who's your next 5?
Yeah.
Bam. That's how it gets started. That's how it happens. Just like that, folks.
So to that point, they're in a scarcity mindset. They're not leveling up. How do they take that scarcity mindset and change that? Like, what is the steps to go through to get to the abundant mindset where everybody really wants to be,
Yep.
but they're just not quite there yet?
So you're talking about creating everlasting change.
Yeah.
I'm going to break it down the way Tony Robbins talks about it and the way Sean Callaghan talks about it. Both are thought geniuses and people that I've tracked, adored, and I love.
Yeah.
If you look at Tony talks about, creating rapport to gain leverage, meaning not in a bad way, but when you create rapport, it allows you to have someone feel comfortable to talk to you.
Yeah.
And then once you have the leverage, right, now you're trusting what I'm saying. So now I can come in and disrupt your current pattern of scarcity.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to disrupt it by first confronting it, I need to have an empowering alternative. So I need to say, Eddie, you're doing A, B, C, D wrong, right?
Right.
Because you're listening to me now. Yeah. You're open to what I have to say.
Because there's rapport.
Yes. And then I'm going to come in and say, well, here's what I think you should do based on, E, F, G, and H, right? So disrupt the pattern, come in with alternative empowering strategy. And
Yes.
then in that space, you have to test it over and over again to make sure that it's sticking and landing, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just confronting, but then it's creating or defining the problem in solvable terms, coming in with the solution and suggestion and the action steps, and then making sure, Chris Crone style, we're measuring all the different KPIs and
Yes.
all the different OKRs
Yeah.
that are necessary to see if it's actually lasting and the change is taking place.
Yeah.
Sean Callaghan is going to come in and say, great, but how do you build rapport?
Right.
Do you build rapport by saying to somebody, here's $100 so they do something nice for you? Do you build rapport by just, donating to someone's charity so they listen to what you have to say? Because that's not the right way to do it.
Right.
David Meltzer is going to say, if you're going to do something for somebody, don't expect, something to come back to you except for appreciation.
Yeah.
Right? Give with no expectation except for appreciation. But now we talk about the genius of Sean Callaghan. What does he talk about? Not the next 5, but 5 questions.
Yes.
These 5 questions allow you, in my opinion, to build the highest level of rapport.
Yes.
You got to be right in the heart. And these 5 questions are, where are you from? Right?
Yep.
So if I'm saying, Eddie, where you're from, you're going to tell me and we're going to get in a conversation. You're going to say something within that conversation that makes me ask more questions.
Right.
Because according to Sean, people say things for a reason.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So they want to be able to hear. They want you to listen to where they're from and what their experience was. And remember, if I say to you, Eddie, where are you from? And you tell me.
I say Somerset, New Jersey.
And I say, oh, I'm from Bayonne. I
Yeah.
just broke rapport.
Yep.
Right? So, and there's an urge to say I'm from Bayonne when he says he's from where he is. So at the end of the day, Ed, if I say, hey, where you're from, and then we start digging in, and during that conversation, you tell me you're the oldest sibling and you got 2 twins,
Yeah.
and you said it without me asking, that meant you wanted to talk about it. So this is where you listen.
Yeah.
And this 5 questions is about, if it's done the right way, 30 to 50 minutes. Because it goes from where you're from, where are you now,
Yep.
right? Listening, digging in. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years?
Right.
Right. But the magic happens here. By the way, Ed, 4th question, what is your biggest level of success?
Right.
You'll tell me. And then I'll say, and this is Sean's brilliance, what is your biggest challenges?
Right.
You'll tell me. And then where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And when you tell me all the places that you want to be, and if I say, well, if that doesn't happen, how's that going to make you feel?
Right.
You're going to be like, terrible. So now it's in your nervous system. But guess what? I just built rapport. And now I have the permission to say, Ed, thank you for sharing everything. There's a lot of other things involved here, folks. But thank you for sharing everything. Can I tell you a little bit about who I am? Now,
Yeah,
notice the
of course.
tonality, notice the shift.
Right.
So when you build the highest level of rapport and then you play in the space of Tony Robbins where you're disrupting the pattern through leverage and then defining the problem in solvable terms. So if Kevin came in and said, Rob, I'm having a hard time doing all these applications with with all the underwriters. I'd say, okay, give me 3 solutions first. So if he comes in and says, I'm having a hard time with the applications, here's one solution, here's another solution, here's a third solution, he's already figured out what it is. And now I've trained to replace myself.
Yeah.
How's that? It was. Were you able to follow all that?
I was able to follow it, but
okay.
I've also invested in myself being in business, and obviously you've done the same, right? So it seems like the way to get from that scarce mindset to the abundant mindset is through investing in yourself.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Maybe this is wrong. Just
but if you don't mind, the question before that, what was the question that led into me going to Sean and Tony?
Getting from a scarce mindset to an abundant mindset.
Okay, so that means I have to disrupt your pattern to let you open up to hear about how do you get into an abundance, which, by the way, thanks for that clarity. So now that that's happened, who's your top 5?
Right.
Who are the 5 people you surround yourself with?
Yes.
And because your greatest asset is you, to your point, and the top 5 proven winners that have what you want, multiplied by 100, if you follow them through investing in them or a program that they sell that you want to be a part of, that's how you elevate.
It seems to me that the business owner, the entrepreneur, the investor will take that time to dedicate to invest in themselves to get better, because that seems to be the way to make money without working harder. It's not you got to put in the work, but you can't physically get that 25th hour in the day. Yeah. Right. So how do you figure that out? And it sounds like, and maybe it's just.
But you could get 96 hours a day.
Right.
By replacing yourself.
By replacing
having
yourself.
5 people or 4 people with 24 hours.
Your next 5.
Yeah. Right. So if you do that, right. And by the way, if you want to be financially successful, I'm not going to say you're going to have to keep working hard. But I will say is you're going to have to keep working consistently and constantly growing, and it's going to take time.
Yes.
And things I must learn. Because if you stop, you start going backwards.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that messes with people is like you gain a level of success, but you can't stop, right? Because it's like Tony says, that constant and never-ending improvement. It's truly never-ending. You're always working on getting better.
Because if you don't always get better, you're going to go backwards.
Yes.
And then
you just fall back into old patterns.
Not only that, but whatever business you're in, someone else is going to kind of take the innovation to the next step. So you always have to be innovating through, cannies, constant never-ending innovation, through, different type of things that you say to yourself over, incantations that you say to yourself over and over again.
Yeah. That's awesome. Look, I think, we covered a lot here today for people. That whole idea of making more money without working harder, it comes from hard work in the beginning, finding your next 5, like you said, adding more time to your day through replacing yourself, and that constant and never-ending improvement. So
I think if you have hard work first with intentionality.
Yep.
Because remember, there was a time I worked really hard, but to your point, it was the solopreneur that was controlling everything.
Yeah.
Right. So I was almost, running east looking for a sunset, even though I was making some money.
Yep.
At the end of the day, I learned a lot of things not to do over the years.
Yes.
And when I really accelerated it's when I stepped away and I said, it's in your hands now, God, tell me what to do next. Right. And trusted the process. And I'll never forget, in 2017, I went to Tony and I just barely met Sean. And I came in minus Kelly and DJ and Alex, and I got rid of everybody in my company. There was about 12 people.
Right.
Gone. Just like that. And DJ, he'll tell you a story. He thought I was losing my mind because I went to Tony Robbins and he thought I was part of some kind of cult. I swear to God. True story.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so listen, I mean, thanks for the questions. And if anyone wants to check us out, go ahead and click that link below. And
we have, we're putting out content every single day. So, if you like this video, go ahead, give it the thumbs up because we love that. Subscribe, share it. It helps us in the algorithm. Ask some questions, make comments. Again, it's all about getting that content out there. Yeah. Subscribe, ring that bell. And there is a link in the description box if you want to have a conversation about growing your business, how to get better. one of the Epic team members will get with you and get you on the right path.